Funny thing about blessings. People think they fall out of the sky, wrapped in gold and glory, with fireworks announcing their arrival. No, that's the illusion, the pretty version. The truth is much darker, much quieter, and far more unsettling. Before anything big comes your way, the world has this habit of testing you, shaking you, stripping you down until you're raw. It whispers warnings in the form of chaos. It hands you strange signals dressed as pain, confusion, or loss. And most people miss them. They brush them off, laugh at them, call them coincidences. But nothing is ever just coincidence. It's funny. Isn't it how everyone worships the idea of building, of growing, of reaching higher and higher, but no one likes the demolition. They want skyscrapers without wrecking balls, palaces without rubble, progress without chaos. But the universe doesn't play that game. No, it's much more clever than that. Collapse always comes before construction. Always. Because before something new can rise, the old foundation has to crack, has to crumble, has to turn into dust. Otherwise, you're stacking beauty on top of rot, dreams on top of lies, castles on top of sand. And sand doesn't hold anything for long. The collapse is never pretty. It's loud, messy, terrifying. It's the part where you're clutching at walls, begging them to stand, knowing deep down they were never strong enough in the first place. That's the trick. It's not the destruction of something perfect. It's the exposure of weakness that was already there. You just didn't want to look at it. The collapse forces you to look. Forces you to admit the truth you've been hiding from yourself. Think about it. Every time in your life you've risen, every time you've grown, it started with something breaking, didn't it? A friendship, a job, a version of yourself you thought would last forever. The ground split open, and you cursed it, screamed at it, begged for the pieces to fit back together. But when the dust cleared, there was something raw, something real, waiting to be rebuilt. Not the same as before, better, sharper, truer. That's the pattern. Destruction then design, death then birth. Collapse, then construction. But people hate collapse because it feels like punishment. They don't understand that the cracks are mercy. The cracks are freedom. You thought the walls kept you safe, but really they kept you small, blind, locked in a prison you called comfort. And comfort is the cruelest prison of all. The collapse is the jailbreak, the shattering of the illusion. It's violent, Yes, but so is birth. Blood, screaming chaos, yet out of it comes life. And the funniest part, you only ever appreciate the construction after you've survived the collapse. No one thanks the storm while it's ripping their house apart. No one calls it a blessing when their floor caves in. But once the rubble clears, once they breathe again, once they see the new horizon open up before them, then they whisper, I see why it had to happen. They see the design hidden in the disaster. They see that nothing was taken away, only replaced with something stronger, something that could actually last. So maybe the next time everything falls apart, maybe when the ceiling crashes down and the world feels like it's caving in on you, don't waste your breath asking, why me? Ask, what's being built? Because the universe doesn't collapse things for sport. It collapses them because it knows what's rotten, what's weak, what can't carry the weight of the future. It tears it down because it's preparing you for something you can't see yet, something you're not ready to hold. But here's the catch. You have to let it fall. You can't cling to the rubble, can't glue the old pieces back together, can't pretend that ruins make a home. Let it burn, let it crumble, let it end. Only then does the construction begin. Only then can something real take shape where lies once stood. Because collapse is never the end. It's the blueprint for what comes next. You ever notice how silence terrifies people? They can't sit in it. They scramble for noise, for chatter, for distraction. They fill the air with empty words, half-baked thoughts, meaningless laughter. Anything to avoid the sound of nothing. But silence is where the real power lies. It's where truth hides. It's where clarity speaks, but only to the ones brave enough to listen. Most people don't want to listen. They want the comfort of sound, not the sharpness of truth. Silence is dangerous because it doesn't protect your illusions. Noise does that. Noise distracts. Comfort smothers. Silence strips all of that away. In silence, you're forced to face yourself. No masks, no excuses, no applause. Just you. Your thoughts, your shadows, your scars. And that's the moment people panic. Because they don't like what they find. They'd rather bury it beneath music. Arguments, gossip, scrolling, anything but the stillness. But silence is not your enemy. It's your mirror. And if you dare to stare into it long enough, it will show you what the noise has been hiding all along. Think about predators. The most dangerous ones don't roar. They don't announce their presence. They wait. They watch. They stay silent. Because silence is strategy. Silence is patience. Silence is control. The fool thinks silence is weakness. The wise know it's a weapon. When you hold your tongue, when you don't reveal what you know, when you don't jump to defend yourself, you force the other side to expose themselves. They talk too much. They reveal too much. They dig their own graves while you watch quietly. Silence is the rope they use to hang themselves. But here's the part people miss. Silence is not passive. It's not sitting there, lifeless, empty. Silence is active. It's the tighten of the bow before the arrow flies. It's the inhale before the scream. It's the storm gathering strength before it breaks the sky. The world sees nothing happening, but beneath the surface, everything is happening. That's why silence unsettles people. They can feel its weight, even if they don't understand it. They sense something is coming, something brewing, something inevitable. Silence also protects your blessings. You ever notice how fragile dreams are when you speak them too soon? You share your plans, your visions, your secrets, and suddenly they don't feel as powerful anymore. Suddenly, they're weighed down by opinions, doubts, envy. But when you keep them in silence, they grow stronger, protected, unseen, like seeds in the soil, buried, invisible, but alive. And when they finally break through, no one can stop them because they've already taken root. That's the magic of silence. It gives life space to grow in the dark. And yet, silence isn't just about keeping secrets. It's also about restraint. It's about knowing that not every battle requires your voice. Not every insult deserves your answer. Not every attack needs your reaction. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. That drives people insane because they want your energy, your anger, your defense. But when you give them silence, you rob them of control. You leave them fighting shadows, punching air, screaming into a void. And nothing breaks a person faster than realizing they can't provoke you. The irony is, silence makes noise louder. In a room full of voices, everyone talks over each other. But let one person go quiet, truly quiet, and suddenly all the sound collapses around it. People feel it. They notice it. They become curious, suspicious, unsettled. Silence commands attention without ever asking for it. That's why silence is not absence. its presence amplified. And the real test: can you sit in your own silence without fear? Can you embrace the stillness long enough to hear your own mind, your own soul, your own truth? Because if you can, you become untouchable. You stop chasing noise, stop feeding distractions, stop dancing to the rhythm of chaos. You learn to wait, to watch, to move when it's time and not a second sooner. And when you finally do act, it's devastating because no one saw it coming. They were too busy talking, too busy laughing, too busy drowning in their own noise. That's the thing about silence. It's the most underestimated force in the world. But underestimate it, and it will consume you. Understand it, and it will make you unstoppable. People think signs are loud, obvious. We glowing in the dark like neon arrows pointing the way. They imagine a booming voice from the sky, a lightning bolt splitting the earth, a miracle too big to miss. But that's the lie. The truth is, signs are subtle. They whisper, they nudge, they hide in plain sight, and only the ones who are paying attention catch them. Everyone else, they stumble right past, blind, too distracted, too busy with noise and chaos. That's the cruel joke of life. Answers are always there, but most people don't see them until it's too late. You ever wonder why, before the biggest shifts, the atmosphere feels heavy? Not physically, but something in the air feels off. Conversations don't flow the same. Your sleep is restless. Your spirit feels unsettled. You can't explain it, but you feel it, like a storm pressing down, even though the sky looks clear. That's not coincidence. That's the first sign. The shift in energy, the invisible weight. But people ignore it. They medicate it, scroll it away, laugh it off. They don't stop to ask why they feel what they feel. And so, they miss the warning. They miss the signal. Then comes the second sign. Things start falling apart. Doors close, relationships crumble, plans backfire. And instead of realizing something bigger is being rearranged, people panic. They cling tighter to what's collapsing. They beg for broken doors to open. They fight to keep what was never meant to stay. They don't see that destruction is often the first stage of construction. They don't understand that loss is sometimes the only way to clear the space for gain. The sign was right in front of them, but their fear blinded them. They thought life was punishing them, when in reality, life was preparing them. And the third sign, it's always the quietest one. A strange peace comes, After all the storms, all the chaos, all the noise, there's this eerie calm. People mistake it for emptiness, but it's not emptiness. It's alignment. It's the world holding its breath before handing you what you've been waiting for. But most people can't sit still in that silence. They get restless. They mistake the calm for nothing happening, and so they sabotage it. They rush back into chaos, chasing noise, chasing control. They don't know that blessings come silently, slipping through the cracks when you finally stop forcing. The funny thing is, everyone begs for signs. They pray for guidance. They scream for answers. But when the signs come, they're dismissed as coincidence, ignored as inconvenience, or rejected because they don't look the way people expected. They wanted a golden door, but got a slammed one. They wanted a clear sky, but got a storm. They wanted a voice, but got silence. They don't understand that the universe rarely gives you what you want in the wrapping you expect. It gives you what you need, disguised in the discomfort you resist. And here's the cruel part. Signs don't wait. They pass by like shadows, fleeting, quick. If you don't catch them, they don't pause for you. They move on, leaving you behind to wonder why life feels stuck. People keep walking in circles, never realizing the path was shown to them again and again. But they refuse to follow it because it didn't look like the fantasy in their heads. That's the tragedy of blindness. You see only what you want, not what is. But for the ones who notice, everything changes. Because once you learn how to read signs, you stop panicking in storms. You stop begging broken doors to stay open. You stop fighting against endings. You begin to see the bigger picture. You realize that chaos is a message. Silence is a message. Loss is a message. Nothing is random. Every detail, every shift, every crack in the pattern is telling you something. The world is speaking always. The question is, are you listening? People wait for blessings like they wait for a train at a station. Sitting there, staring at the tracks, thinking it's going to come right on schedule, right when they're comfortable, right when they're ready. But blessings don't work like that. They don't follow your timetable. They arrive when the chaos is loudest, when you're broken, when you're raw, when you least expect it and least feel worthy of it. That's the twist. The gift doesn't come wrapped in gold paper. It comes disguised in pain, loss, or silence. And that's why so many people miss it. They wanted a miracle that looked beautiful, not one that crawled out of ashes. See, there's a pattern to how blessings show up. Before the big ones, life always rearranges itself. That means things fall apart. People leave. Plans collapse. What you thought was permanent suddenly crumbles in your hands. And while you're screaming, "Why me?" the answer is staring back. Because you needed room. Because you were too attached to the wrong people, the wrong habits, the wrong illusions. And so the destruction is the doorway. But humans hate that. They call it bad luck. They call it unfair. But they never stop to ask, what if this isn't punishment at all? What if it's preparation? People wear faces like costumes, stitched smiles, and polite voices, shaking your hand while hiding the knife behind their back. You think you know them, friends, family, the ones closest, the ones who pretend to care. But masks crack under pressure, and when they do, what's underneath is not always human. It's hunger. It's envy. It's a shadow that feeds off your light, waiting for the right moment to strike. When truth starts peeling the mask, you see it. The demon wrapped in skin, the parasite disguised as love. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. The danger was never out there in the dark. It was always smiling right beside you. Masks fall when truth enters the room. That's the uncomfortable reality people don't want to admit. Everyone is an actor, playing a role, adjusting their voice, twisting their words, building a version of themselves they think the world will accept. A friend, a partner, a neighbor. Even the ones who sit across the table laughing with you. Do you really think that's their true face? No. It's the version they want you to believe. It's the mask. But the mask only holds when the stage lights are low, when no one's paying attention, when the truth hasn't stepped inside. The moment truth walks in, the cracks show. The glue begins to slip. The carefully painted smile starts to twitch. And then, there it is. The real thing. Ugly, raw, hungry. You see, people build masks. Not because they're proud of what's underneath, but because they're terrified of it being exposed. They want you to think they're kind, trustworthy, supportive. But when truth cuts through, you see they were never giving without wanting something back. They were never kind without an agenda. Their hands always wanted something while pretending to help. Truth is like a spotlight. It doesn't ask permission. It doesn't soften the edges. It just burns away the shadows. And the shadows scream when the light touches them. That's why they fear it so much. Watch carefully. The moment truth approaches, behavior changes. The smile grows stiff. The eyes dart, the words stumble. They'll try to protect the mask, to patch it, to glue it together before it slips completely. But the thing about truth is, it doesn't need time. It doesn't wait. It rips the mask straight off, and the air gets heavy. Suddenly, the person standing in front of you isn't the one you thought you knew. And that realization cuts deeper than any knife, because it tells you this: you weren't betrayed in that moment. You were betrayed the whole time. You just didn't see it. And oh, how people hate being seen. They live for their masks. They feed them, polish them, perform with them every single day. The mask becomes more important than their own skin. But truth doesn't care about your performance. It doesn't clap at the end of your act. It tears the curtain down. It shows the audience that the smile was painted, that the laughter was rehearsed, that the love was scripted. And once that mask is gone, there's no putting it back. The thing is, masks fall most violently when they're forced. You've seen it before. The person who seemed perfect until money was on the table, or loyalty was tested, or power dangled in front of them. That's when the mask slips. Because truth has a way of cornering people. It presents them with choices that rip away their ability to keep pretending. And when they choose, the demon underneath snarls. They reveal what they really are: jealous, bitter, hungry for control, desperate for validation. And the face you thought you knew is shattered into pieces you can't put together again. But don't think of masks as harmless. They're dangerous, because while you're busy believing the performance, while you're clapping for their act, they're feeding off your trust. They're draining you. They're planning their strike. The mask is a shield, and it's meant to get close enough to wound you without you realizing the danger. That's why truth is your only weapon. The moment you let it in, the mask disintegrates. And sure, it hurts. It always hurts to see what was hiding. But that pain saves you. That pain tells you who the enemy really was. People fear truth, not because it's heavy, but because it's sharp. It doesn't just reveal, it cuts. It carves away the lies they've been selling. And once the carving is done, there's no costume left to wear. They're naked. exposed. And nothing terrifies a human demon more than being seen for what they really are, because their power depends entirely on the mask. Without it, they're nothing but shadows scrambling for a place to hide. And once you see that, once you realize masks fall, the second truth enters. You'll never look at a smile the same way again. Not every smile is born from love. People don't like to admit that, because it's easier to believe in sweetness, in kindness, in the idea that a smile means safety. But smiles are currency, and some are counterfeit. A smile can be a weapon sharper than a blade, a lure more dangerous than any trap. People flash it to disarm you, to pull down your walls, to make you believe they're harmless. But deep down, you know the truth. A smile doesn't always come from the heart. It can come from hunger, from envy, from the need to keep you blind while they take what they want. Think about it. How many times have you seen someone smile at you, only to find out later they were the very ones who spoke poison behind your back? How many times did that grin hide the fact they were calculating, waiting, sharpening their claws while pretending to be gentle? That's the trick of it. A smile makes you trust. It softens your guard, and the moment you relax, that's when they strike. You think they're showing you warmth, but really, they're showing you bait. Smiles are costumes, masks painted across the face so no one sees what's underneath. But you can tell the difference if you watch closely. Real smiles touch the eyes. They light something deeper. The fake ones, they're stretched too thin. They don't last long. They tremble when truth brushes against them. But people ignore those signs because it's more comfortable to believe in the illusion. No one wants to believe that the one standing across from them, grinning, is silently plotting. So you convince yourself it's real. You choose the lie, because the lie feels safer than the truth. But that's where the danger lies. When you mistake a smile for love, you let the wolf into your home. You feed it. You welcome it. You let it close. And wolves don't show their teeth until they're about to bite. The smile is their way of hiding the hunger until it's too late. That's why betrayal stings so much, not because they hurt you, but because they smiled while they were doing it. That smile burns in your memory, mocking you, reminding you that you believed something that was never there. And then comes the revelation. Some people smile not because they care, but because they enjoy the game. They like watching you fall for it. They like seeing you blinded by their charm, believing in something pure while they keep their intentions rotten. For them, the smile is a tool, a mask, a weapon. And once you know that, you can't look at people the same way. Every grin, every chuckle, every friendly gesture, you start to wonder what's behind it. Is it warmth? Or is it the quiet smirk of someone who's already decided how to use you? The most dangerous thing about a smile is how easily it travels. Anyone can wear it. The cruelest can wear it. The coldest can wear it. And they don't even have to mean it. That's the part most people miss. A smile doesn't have to be genuine to work. It just has to look good enough to fool you. And people fall for it every day because we're trained to trust it. From childhood, we're taught that a smile means kindness, that it signals safety. But in reality, it only signals intention, and intentions can be dark. If you really want to see the truth, watch what happens after the smile fades. Does the warmth remain? Do their actions match the curve of their lips? Or does the cold slip through the cracks once the performance ends? Because that's the tell. That's when the mask loosens, when the demon hiding beneath can't hold the act anymore. It's in the silence between words, in the stillness after the grin fades, where you see what was real. A smile is the easiest disguise in the world. It takes no effort, no honesty, no love to wear it. And yet it convinces people more than any speech, any promise, any action. That's why it's dangerous. That's why not every smile is born from love. Some are born from lies, from games, from the thrill of hiding sharp teeth behind soft lips. And once you've been bitten by one of those smiles, you'll never forget how cold it felt. Betrayal hides closest to the heart. Not out there in the world, not from the strangers who pass you on the street. No. Betrayal doesn't come dressed in obvious danger. It doesn't scream or warn. It whispers. It smiles. It sits at your table and drinks from your cup. The ones who hold the power to break you are always the ones you let closest. The blade that cuts deepest isn't swung by an enemy. It's slipped into your back by someone you once trusted with everything. That's the cruelty of it. You build walls against the outside world. You guard yourself against the obvious threats, and you think you're safe. But while you're looking out for wolves, you let the snake coil up in your bed. The ones closest to the heart learn your weaknesses. They hear your secrets. They know your fears. They've watched you bleed. And with that knowledge comes the ability to destroy you in ways no enemy ever could. Because betrayal isn't just about what's taken from you. It's about how it makes you question everything you ever believed. Think about it. When a stranger lies to you, it stings for a moment, but you move on. When a stranger harms you, you heal. But when it's someone you loved, someone you trusted, someone you thought was incapable of hurting you, that wound never closes. Because it's not just pain, it's confusion. It's the realization that what you thought was safe wasn't. That the heart you opened was used against you. That the hand you reached for was only steady until it found the perfect moment to let you fall. And the worst part, they don't always look guilty. They don't always hide. Sometimes betrayal wears a calm face, as if nothing happened. Sometimes it wears justification, convincing itself you deserved it. And sometimes it wears pride, enjoying the fact that you never saw it coming. That's the bitter truth. Betrayal isn't always an accident. It can be a choice, a decision made by someone who looked at your love, your trust, your loyalty, and decided it was worth using. But that the knife doesn't always go in fast. Sometimes betrayal comes slow, a drip of poison, little lies, little cracks, until one day you realize the foundation has rotted. It creeps in silence, invisible until it's everywhere. That's why it feels so impossible to stop. You're blinded by closeness, by affection, by history. You give them chance after chance because you can't imagine the ones you love most could ever be the ones destroying you. And by the time you finally see it, the damage is already done. There's a reason betrayal feels like death, because it kills more than trust. It kills the part of you that believed. It leaves you questioning every memory, every word, every smile. Was it ever real? Or was it always an act? That's the cruel gift betrayal leaves behind doubt. Doubt in them, doubt in yourself, doubt in love itself. You replay every moment, searching for signs you missed, wondering how you could have been so blind. And in that spiral, you realize betrayal is not just an attack on your trust. It's an attack on your reality. And yet, betrayal couldn't exist without closeness. A stranger can't betray you because you never gave them anything to betray. Only the ones inside your circle, inside your heart, hold the keys to that kind of destruction. It's the price of letting someone in. You don't see the knife until it's already between your ribs, because you never thought they would carry one. You thought they were different. You thought love made you safe. But love is the perfect camouflage for betrayal. Sometimes betrayal teaches you more about people than loyalty ever could. Loyalty is easy to see. It shines, it comforts, it builds. But betrayal rips the mask